Welcome to Women Mastering Midlife, where we dive deep into the rich complexities of womanhood in our middle years. I'm your host, Victoria Bird, a pharmacist, certified women's health coach, and your guide on this transformative journey. Whether you're navigating perimenopause, thriving in menopause, or mastering midlife's many transitions, this is your weekly dose of expert guidance, compassionate support, and a judgment-free space to explore it all. Together, we will rewrite the narrative around this remarkable stage from being something to dread into a beautiful transition. Hi there. Welcome back to the Women Mastering Midlife podcast. It is Thanksgiving week if you live in the U.S. So in just a few days, we're going to celebrate the holiday of Thanksgiving. Regardless of what Thanksgiving looks like for you in your house, there's one thing that I wanted to talk about this week, and that is the power of gratitude in midlife. Giving thanks. I think that a lot of times you might hear people talking about adopting a gratitude practice, and you might have one. You might not think it's necessary, or you might not really understand what that means. So today we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the benefits. I'm going to give you some examples, maybe some takeaways that you could try. And after you've listened to this episode, I want to hear your gratitude practices. I asked my social media following what their gratitude practices are, and I got a lot of comments from wonderful women telling me about journals that they keep at their bedside, a notepad they have in their car. Somebody had a gratitude note on their phone. And there's another woman that specifically told me that ever since she was a young child, she incorporated gratitude with prayer. So whatever it looks like for you, tell me what your gratitude practice is. And if you don't have one yet at the beginning of this episode, then I want to hear what you're going to try to incorporate into your life. Because I will tell you, as someone who incorporated a gratitude practice, I think I started 5 years ago with a gratitude practice. It was a game changer. My mood, my mindset, my outlook, the way I connected with people, it all shifted. And I can also tell you that I stepped away from the gratitude practice because I had excuses. Life got busy, schedule change, didn't have a journal, was going to try something new, and then that didn't fit into my routine, so I just let it go. And I've picked it back up again, and immediately I see the difference already. As I'm recording this, the leaves are changing, and they are breathtaking. And I was talking to my daughter about how beautiful and vulnerable fall is. That these vibrant, gorgeous colors can sit on that tree and just exude beauty. But then in a minute, in a gust of wind, in a terrible rainstorm, all those beautiful colors can be stripped and the tree is bare. And it's bare and it's sad, and winter can be dismal looking in comparison, but then it makes way for spring. So I was thinking about the trees because I sat in the parking lot. I dropped my daughter off at school and it was early. She starts at 8:55 and it was 8 a.m. She had a meeting. So there was nobody in the parking lot. So I can't embarrass her with this, but I pulled over underneath these two gorgeous red trees. They almost looked like they were on fire. They were so vibrant. And I just took a moment to be really thankful that I have the time, that I'm granted the time to pause and appreciate the beauty. And also, I was grateful that I have grown as a person to appreciate something like that. And that's what a gratitude practice does, because I can tell you I was very caught up in the hustle and the child raising, and sometimes I would even get a case of the FOMO, the why not me, or look what they're doing. Why am I not doing this? But when you start adding a gratitude practice in your life, you start to see how the really small things aren't really small. They're really big things in life. And they can have such importance that they really are something to have an appreciation for. So that is why we were talking about gratitude today, because for every time we talk about hormones and hot flashes and weight gain, we are so much more complex than that, ladies. And we are a whole being with a lot of things going on. And it might feel woo-woo to some of you, like, oh, a gratitude practice, just one more thing I have to do. And that's crazy. And I don't have time for that. What's the point? But I promise you, if you try it, if you haven't, it really does. It changes the way you look at things. Eckhart Tolle said, acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for abundance. That is one brilliant quote that I found that I was like, oh, I have to throw that in there. Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for abundance. When you start looking at things like, I'm grateful for this warm cup of coffee in my hands this morning, or I'm grateful for hitting every green light on the way to school, or I'm grateful that my daughter had a successful surgery and she's no longer in the pain she was in. Or I'm grateful that my daughter has friends. There are so many things. And they all just pile up when you start thinking of even the tiniest things. I'm thankful for warm, fuzzy socks. You realize how abundant your life truly is. Psychologists have defined gratitude as a positive emotional response that we perceive on giving or receiving a benefit from someone else or something. So it's this emotional response, this positivity to receiving either from the world or from a person or something that just brings us joy. And, we've already talked about the joy of food and the joy around food in the holidays. And I hope that, that sparks some memories of joy. And maybe you're grateful for those memories. Add those to your gratitude journal. Gratitude affects your well-being. It can rewire your brain. When you practice daily gratitude, it can have the same effect on your body, on your brain. It can affect neurotransmitter levels of dopamine and serotonin, similar to medications. That is not a call to come off of any kind of medications that you're taking and start a gratitude practice. The neurotransmitter levels in the brain have seen to be raised when a daily gratitude practice is added to life. And with all the false dopamine hits out there in the world, gratitude practice sounds so much better. So for midlife women, I think a gratitude practice is particularly important because if we think about the mental health of midlife women, the increase in anxiety, the increase in depression, if you are incorporating a daily practice of gratitude and you're getting those neurotransmitters, you're going to reduce your stress. You're going to reduce anxiety and symptoms of depression. You'll have better sleep, right? If you're decreasing your anxiety, you're lowering your blood pressure, you're increasing your resilience and adaptability. These are all ways that gratitude practices have shown to improve midlife women's health. It also, I think it strengthens your relationships and your social connections to people, because when you think about being grateful for someone, or even just recognizing like, oh, that gentleman let me go in front of him with his cart full of groceries and I just had a few things. He let me go in front of him. I'm grateful for him today. That brings about a social connection with that person. I'm sure you said thank you. Maybe you started a conversation. If you can look at your spouse, who in midlife you might have been with for a very long time, and you can find reasons that you are grateful for that person and put them in your daily gratitude practice. I don't know how many times in my gratitude journals I have put, I am grateful for the warm cup of coffee in my hands that my husband has brought me in bed. Or I am grateful that he picked up the kids from a late night dance practice so I didn't have to go out in the dark or the rain or late because I'm old and I want to go to bed. I think you can lower your maybe resentment, anger, frustration, or even just apathy towards someone if you can think of reasons to be grateful for them. I definitely feel like I have stronger relationships with people. My daily gratitude practice, I use the 5-minute journal, and I write 3 things I'm grateful for in the morning. I write things that would make the day great, and I write an affirmation. This morning, I was thankful for an early bedtime. I was thankful for cozy, warm hoodies. And I'm thankful that we have health insurance that covers my daughter's physical therapy. So those are the 3 things I was grateful for today. I wrote an affirmation. I am an exceptional wife and mother. I am a dedicated women's health coach. I am smarter than I think I am. Those are things that I say to myself to believe them. I am brilliant. I am kind. All those wonderful affirmations, right? And I try to stick with the same one for a few days. And then there's a recap in the evening. Oh, and I think for what would make today great, getting my podcast episodes recorded, having a family movie night, and getting our fireplace to work. Those are the 3 things. Got to kick on the fireplace. It's like 60 degrees. You don't see me, but I'm in a hoodie and I've got a huge blanket on over my legs because I'm frozen. So that's my daily practice. And so those are just, it takes 5 minutes in the morning. And then you recap the evening and you can think of things you're grateful for the evening too. And I think when you have to do it every single day, some days there are monumental things like I am thankful that my surgery went well. And then there are days where you're like, gosh, this was just a normal day. And it might be really, really hard in the beginning to think of things to be grateful for. But the more you do it, it's muscle memory, right? So the more you are practicing this daily gratitude journaling or meditating, the more things start to come to you. And they may not even be when you sit down to do them. You could be sitting in the car at the pickup line. Oh, I'm thankful for the fact that I got here in record time, or I'm thankful that it's Friday and I don't have to do this for 2 days. Everything becomes a lens of gratitude. The more you do it, it's muscle. Gotta flex that gratitude muscle.
Did you hear about the Women Mastering Midlife community but missed the enrollment window? Don't worry, your opportunity is coming again soon. Are you tired of feeling lost in the sea of conflicting menopause advice, struggling with symptoms that your doctor dismisses, wasting money on miracle products that don't deliver? The Women Mastering Midlife community is your solution. We offer expert guidance from a pharmacist and certified women's health coach, a supportive community who truly understands, research-backed resources at your fingertips, personalized strategies for nutrition, fitness, and overall well-being. But here's the catch. Our doors aren't always open. Don't miss your chance to transform your midlife journey. Sign up for our waitlist today at www.missvictoriabird.com/community or join the waitlist through the link in our show notes. Waitlist members will get first access when enrollment reopens, exclusive content until our next launch, and a special membership rate only for those on the waitlist. I'm Victoria Bird, a pharmacist and certified women's health coach who created the community I could have used when I began to experience symptoms of perimenopause. Not only have I spent years researching the menopause transition and working with clients, but I am also right alongside you in the thick of it. This community addresses the whole experience of midlife, and with a sense of belonging only a group of women can provide. Take control of your perimenopause experience. Join the waitlist now at www.missvictoriabird.com/community or find the link to the waitlist in our show notes below.
So when you're thinking about starting a gratitude practice, if you haven't before, set realistic expectations. Just say, keep it simple. I'm going to write every day on a piece of paper, in a notebook, on your phone. I'm going to write 3 things I'm grateful for today. Write one thing. Whatever your realistic expectation could be, I could think of one thing I'm grateful for every day. And then see if that can progress. Choose a method that works for you. I've said this so many times about creating habits. If you are trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, it's going to be hard and it's not going to stick. So if having a notebook by your bed to write in before you go to bed will help you do it, then do a gratitude journal. If meditating on what you're grateful for, if sitting in quiet and stillness and breathing and thinking through gratitude, if that is what would work for you, then incorporate that practice. Maybe just saying things out loud or having a mental gratitude list in your head. Wherever you need to start. Like I said, I use a 5-minute journal. There are journaling apps for phones. I think the 5-minute journal even actually has an app you could use instead of paper and pen. I try not to get on my phone first thing in the morning, and I try not to get on my phone right before I go to bed, so it wouldn't work for me. But if you have your phone with you all the time, if it's easier for you to just remember, there are apps, or even just use a notepad and have a file of things you're grateful for. Just keep a running list. Wouldn't that be fun if you had a notepad on your phone that you added things you were grateful for every time you thought of them, and then at the end of the year, you could see how many things you're grateful for. Maybe you repeated some, but still, it'd be fabulous. So let's keep it consistent. Add it into your day so it doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel hard. If it's first thing in the morning, last thing before bed, if it's in your car before you go to pick up your kids, or in the car before you go home from work, whatever will help you be consistent, do that. There's no right or wrong way to create a gratitude practice. So here are some examples of some things you could do. There's the 3 good things. So write down 3 things that you're grateful for. You could write letters of gratitude to people. I don't remember the last time I got a letter in the mail, but if somebody sent me a letter of gratitude, even an email, that would make my day. If you want to have a weekly gratitude walk where all you do is think of the things that you're grateful for that week while you're walking. If photography is your jam, if you like making collages or photo books, collect pictures of things that make you grateful, like my beautiful red-leafed tree, or your kids, or your dog, or a beautiful sunset. Something that's really fun is creating a gratitude jar for the whole family. So, having a jar that's on a counter that everybody goes to on a regular basis. They could write something they're grateful for. Maybe you write one every day for a month, and then you open it and read them. And some of them might surprise you from your family members. It's also a nice way to connect. So I've had some clients come to me before with their challenges to practicing gratitude. And so whenever we talk about establishing a habit, we talk about what are the roadblocks? What are some things that are going to come up for you that are going to make this be a hard routine to keep? One of those is having a negative mindset around it, having negative experiences, having negative thoughts. And when you think of things to be grateful for, you're like, oh, I don't have anything I'm grateful for right now. Just having that negative mindset. But on the flip side of that is toxic positivity. So even if the world is dire or you're in the middle of a crap storm, thinking with that toxic positivity, fake it till you make it, that's not going to help you either. If you could balance gratitude and acknowledge difficulties in your life, like, man, this is a really hard season. I'm dealing with a chronic illness, or I have a death in the family, or my relationship is struggling and I'm not thankful for anything in this world right now. if you could think, even though XYZ, I still have ABC, right? So even if my marriage is falling apart, I have my children from that marriage. I'm grateful for my children. Or I have a friend that I can rely on. When you start to integrate gratitude into your midlife daily experiences, it definitely becomes easier. When you're looking at the hard stuff of midlife, okay? So if we start this practice now, we're setting ourselves up for when we have some big things coming. It's really going to help our mindset. If we can find gratitude every single day in the mundane daily life, then if we have a career transition, if we are let go from a job, if we retire, I'm a stay-at-home mom by trade, and I'm going to have a forced retirement. My kids will launch if I did my job well. And when they launch, I will be retired at my daily job task stuff. I'll always be their mom. But if I were to not be able to do this podcast anymore, if when I was in pharmacy, I was let go from my pharmacy job, having a gratitude practice in place would help me make it through the day. Empty nesting. I'm going to have to dig deep for gratitude on those days when I am just in the weeds of my kids being gone. But there will be things to look forward to. There will be things to be grateful for. Maybe when they're gone, I'll be grateful for not having to do 3 loads of dishes every day, or I'll be grateful for my free time back when I'm not driving to activities. I think it'll also help you appreciate your health when you start to see physical changes. Our bodies are going to change and age. If we are lucky enough to continue aging, that's going to happen. So being able to look at, I have new wrinkles on my forehead, but I am grateful for the skin that has carried me through this many years. Or my hands look old. I was thinking that the other day. But then I thought about looking through the lens of gratitude, and I said, my hands look old, but they have held my babies. I've already talked about having gratitude for your spouse or your partner will help in the daily experiences of life. But as we get older, we've been in relationships for a really long time with some partners, or our friends, our dynamic of friendship shifts, or our children are going from young to adult, and having this gratitude around them will also help our social connection and strengthen our bond. So, in closing, I want to encourage you to start a gratitude practice. Start small, start simple. If you haven't already been doing one, if you have and you let it go because you got busy, right, pick it back up, okay? And let's begin to look at life through a lens of gratitude. I'm going to challenge you for the next week, if you haven't done it every day, for the next 7 days, think of at least one thing you're grateful for. Write it down, think about it in your head, whatever works best for you. And at the end of 7 days, reflect on how that's changed your mood, your connection to other people, your connection to the planet, to your life, to your circumstances, and see if it's had a positive impact. And I want you to share that experience with me on social media, in the podcast comments. Tell me how it's going. I want to hear from you guys. In my community, we are honing our gratitude practices right now. We are discussing ways that gratitude helps us. We are sharing in the comments, in the chat forum, what we're grateful for. And I am grateful for the women in the community for trusting me with their health and their midlife journey. I'm grateful for their connection and interaction. And I am also grateful for my listeners. I am grateful for each and every one of you who subscribe, download, share, save all the episodes, even the ones of me talking to myself. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been so far such a ride, and I don't ever want to stop. So please keep listening and tell your friends about it, because it's been such a way to connect with my guests, with my audience, with people who I never thought in a million years I would connect with. It's getting me reading books before I have guests on the show that I might not have read, which has been helping my personal growth. So thank you for joining us again this week, and I look forward to being in your AirPods, car radio, wherever you're listening next week. Thank you again for your support. I am forever grateful. And I hope that you have, if you're celebrating, a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I'm excited to celebrate the rest of the year with you. We have some great episodes on the horizon for the rest of 2024. And 2025 is going to shape up to be a great year too. So keep listening.
Thanks so much for joining me today. We will be back next week for another episode of Women Mastering Midlife. Until then, find us on Instagram at Women Mastering Midlife or Miss Victoria Bird, and join us in the Women Mastering Midlife community to continue our discussions. You'll find links to what you've heard here today, as well as ways to connect with us in the show notes below. This podcast is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. Please note the hosts, guests, and experts featured on this podcast are not your personal healthcare providers, life coaches, or advisors. The content should not be considered as professional, personalized medical, psychological, or prescriptive advice. This podcast is not a substitute for consulting your physician, therapist, local pharmacist, or relevant professionals to discuss your specific concerns and situation. The topics discussed should not be used as the sole basis to diagnose or treat any medical condition, make significant life changes, or make important decisions regarding your health otherwise. Women Mastering Midlife is not responsible for any undesired outcomes resulting from actions taken based on the information provided in this podcast. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests only and do not represent any of those other individuals or entities. Always consult with qualified professionals before making significant changes to your health regimen, lifestyle, or medical plans.